Hello, welcome back. This is Grillenheimer with the Throttlebots Part 2. Take 2. So, now, before I want to go on with the Throttlebots, just two things of note. I went back with Freeway. Someone suggested through Facebook how to doctor pictures a little bit, and kind of gave me, not exactly a tutorial, but got me in the right direction. So some of my drawings with white backgrounds may have backgrounds now. And I started with Freeway. And so here is going to be Freeway in his alt mode and his bot mode. Nothing's really changed. It's just it's just no longer a cartoon drawing on a white background anymore. So it seems a little jarring to me. I've had a lot of compliments on it. It's very obvious. I'm using Paint 3D, etc., etc. So there's that. The Quint metric of Judgement. The Quint metric of Judgement. We've been playing around with that. Some people were like, ooh, I like this. I want to print this out and use it because it's a utility with +3 to attack. Well, maybe that was a bad idea and I had to learn it the hard way, because I was using it myself and playing around with it, and I've already officially changed it to +2 to attack instead of +3, if you remember. Well, I may change it back down to +1 and keep the Judgment ability on the utility, which that seems fine. Otherwise, it may be too powerful of a card. So at least I'm kind of, learning the hard way about, maybe this was a little bit too strong. So we got the Quint metric of Judgment, which is now going to be just +1 to attack for the utility. And while this is on a character and it's gotten 4 or more damage, then you can scrap an enemy upgrade, which I got to do that on play. It was fine. My opponent was like, what? It's like, well, yeah, this is how this card works. You did more than 4 damage on me, so you got to scrap an upgrade. He had a Matrix of Leadership on, but he was playing the new Hot Rod, the ATP Hot Rod, so he was able to get his Matrix back in his hand. And so it was like we were playing, I guess you could say, volleyball with the Matrix of Leadership a little bit, because he put it on, he did a larger attack, he had to take it back off again, had to be scrapped, and he ended up getting it again from his scrap with flipping Hot Rod. Rodimus Prime, excuse me. So that was neat, and so it does work that way, but it does seem too powerful of an attack card, so I'm bringing it down to an attack of 1. So now, that is a good question. If you have, say you have 3 of these with, thanks to the armor card, defensive, I forgot the name of it, defensive operation, something like that, or even on a Galaxy Prime, if you triplicate them, if you put more than 2 of that in a utility slot, or 3 in a utility slot, the attack is will triple. It will be instead of +3 or +2, it's going to be +1. So it'll be an additional 3 of attack, or 2 of attack, for the turn, for the attack. But the ability does not going to activate it every single time. It's just going to be a one-time thing. So it's not going to be, if your damage is 8 and more damage, scrap an enemy, or 12 damage and more, scrap an upgrade, scrap an enemy. That's not really going to work that way. So just it's, that's, and maybe I should add to that, does not stack. Of course, that should be obvious, because of the way that ability is worded. Of course, that's not going to stack. It's not going to happen. It just happens once. You scrap one upgrade. It's not, for every 4 damage, scrap an upgrade. So you're not going to be scrapping up 2 or 3 upgrades from 1 defensive attack more than 4 to that character. That's not how that works. So just on a side note. In the meantime, let's get back into Throttlebots. 5 minutes. Sorry, guys. Rollbar is a 9-star character. He's a leader. He's the leader of the Throttlebots, I believe. Depending on the history, I think sometimes it's Wideload. Mostly it's Rollbar. So I went with Rollbar being the leader. He's a truck, and he's a specialist. He's one of the 2 specialists. In alt mode, he has an attack of 4, health of 12, defense of 2. He has tough 1 in alt mode. When you flip to this mode, you may take a common card from your scrap. If you do, then damage 1 to an enemy and repair 1 on your team. So that's kind of strong. It's a nice strong flip, but he is the leader. So there is that. So I kind of wanted something strong with the leader of the Throttlebots, per se. And that's what I went with that. When you flip him over to bot mode, his attack goes up, his defense comes down as per the norm. 5 to attack, 1 defense, still a leader, still a truck, and still a specialist. When one of your, and this is like, I think it was Chase that had something similar, pulling from the Omnibots a little bit. When one of your Throttlebots with utility defends, it gets tough 1 equal to the total Throttlebots with the utility. So you're going to want, we started off with a utility, a new homemade utility. You can get some utilities on these guys and really buff up their tough 1. That's really all that's going to do with Rollbar in bot mode. So there is that. Up next is Searchlight. I apologize, I'm in my car if you can hear the rumble of the car here. So Searchlight is a 7-star character. He's a 7-star that is a car and a specialist in alt mode. Being slightly lower stars, he only has an attack of 3, a health of 11, and a defense of 2 in alt mode. He doesn't have any sort of standard basic ability that is active when he's in alt, but when you flip to this mode, you can tap a car on your team. If you tap a car on your team, you can draw 3 cards from your deck. If you draw 3, you're drawing from your deck, right? So I don't think I have to put that on there. But because this is such, even though you're giving up an attack, but you're drawing 3 cards, that's big. You can do 1 damage to an enemy and then do 1 damage to this. So Searchlight may, and it doesn't mean you have to tap Searchlight. You can tap anybody with an active car ability. Guess what? Your Throttlebots that were cars in alt mode are cars also in bot mode. So that might help you. That might really help you with this, and get you a couple of rapid conversions, some escape routes in here. Have a field day. So he may end up having, and that it's a big if then. So if you tap a car on your team and draw 3, then you get to do 1 cheeky damage to your enemy, but you damage Searchlight also by 1, because it's a bit of a big move. So there's gonna have to be some like give and take, and that's what I did with Searchlight. And if we flip him over to bot mode, he is still a car. He's still a specialist. He's one of our 2 specialists. His attack goes up by 1. His defense comes down by 1. So he's got an attack of 4, defense of 1, health of 11. But in bot mode, he does have stealth, which means he has stealth in whether he's tapped or untapped. So, but this is where I kind of borrowed a little from one of our official, almost said migraine, Mirage. Yeah, Autobot migraine. Autobot Mirage. While this has a blue upgrade equipped, this will have a +1 to attack and +1 to defense for a turn. So there's that. So you're going to want, as far as your upgrades in your decks with Throttlebots, I don't know if you want to go with an all blue deck or not, but you definitely want some upgrades, and you're going to want some upgrades with some blue pips in there as well. If all you have are your improvised shields with the blue pips, you can put a improvised shield on him at least, and he'll still have an attack of 5 and then a defense of 2 in bot mode defending. So that is Searchlight. Up next is Wideload. Wideload is the last of our Throttlebot reveals here, guys. He's an 8-star character. Why? I guess 8's my lucky number. I don't know. But this is where things start to bleed over into other kinds of characters. Again, he's a 8-star character with 4 to attack. He has 13 health, which is a little high for an 8-star, and 1 to defense. So his defense is going to be 1 in both modes. So despite him being Wideload, despite him being a dump truck, his defense is a little lower than most of the rest. But he's a truck. He's got a melee. He's one of our last melee character, and he's a wrecker. Yes, you heard me right. He's a wrecker. I made that up. I don't think he really was a wrecker at all, but I really wanted to add something different. So let's keep going. When you flip this to alt mode, or when he flips to this mode, you may tap a truck on your team. If you do 3 damage to an enemy. Now, I'm not reading this verbatim because I've got this, a sketchy shorthand that I'm reading. But that's what's going to be happening here. You can tap a truck on your team. But first he has to flip from bot mode to alt mode. Then, and yes, it can be Wideload if you want to, and it's going to be an easy, cheeky 3 damage to an enemy by just simply tapping him. Or tapping another truck on your team. So he's going to give help and love to trucks. He is the only truck within the Throttlebots. Yeah, I believe he is. I take that back. Actually, Rollbar is a truck also. So we do have 2 trucks, 2 Throttlebot trucks. I almost forgot about Rollbar. How dare I? I started with him first with this video. So Rollbar is a truck. Wideload is a truck. You have another truck or a wrecker on your team, it'll help out. And especially with Rollbar, he's a truck in both modes. With Wideload, he is a truck in both modes. So when you flip Wideload from bot mode to alt mode, tap another truck. That's with the active truck trait. Do 3 damage to an enemy. That's kind of big, but you are having to give up one of your attacks. So there's some cards that can help us untap now too, isn't there? So in bot mode, his attack goes up, his defense stays the same. So he's an attack of 5, health of 13, 1 defense. He does have Brave. He's still a wrecker, a truck, and melee in bot mode because he's a Throttlebot. He does have Brave, but which is the only Throttlebot with Brave because, let's see here. So while Rollbar only has 12 health, Wideload does have 13 health. Yes, Wideload is not a leader, but in his star is only 8, not 9. but it's also to help the difference of mass in a way, I guess you could say, for the different characters. But in bot mode, he's going to give each other wrecker on your team has tough one. So no Omnibot foolishness going on here. It's just as simple as that. You can add 8-star Wideload if you find with a decent flip to be able to get a cheap 3 attack on an enemy if you think that warrants it, if you think you like that gimmick here, that trigger. But in the meantime, in bot mode, if you add him with some other wreckers, then your wreckers on your team are going to have tough one. So I thought that was a pretty decent little trade-off here. So there we have it. We finally finished the reveal of the Throttlebots with Rollbar, Searchlight, and Wideload. I'm seeing how I can find some different types of looks for maybe background stuff for these guys. If I want to go that route, I did Freeway. We'll see how they look with some backgrounds on them to help fill out the card at least. I'm not too worried about it, but it looks better, it looks fuller, it gives it more color. But then when you try to print this stuff out, you're going to be printing more color out. It's going to be using more color on your ink unless you're going somewhere to have someone else print these out for you, however you want to do that. So there is that. We did go over a correction with the Quint metric of Judgement, as well as going over, oh goodness, what was the other card we just went over to? I forgot, but that's all we have right now. But at least we got all the Throttlebots out there for you to be able to enjoy, to play, to test. I think these guys are okay. I've been testing them out myself. They seem very fun. Being able to have the truck trait on both sides, the car trait on both sides is a really very nice keeping that trait alive no matter what side they're on, whether they're in bot mode or alt mode. It's going to be able to use some of your cards a little more often, like turbo boosters. I think that's the correct card I'm thinking of. Put this on a car, a character in car mode, and untap that character. So you can do that now in their bot modes because they're Throttlebots. So it might, while some of their stats aren't that great, Wideloads is a little good for an 8-star. A lot of them I think are a little more versatile than some of my previous characters. So we'll see how it goes. Print these out. I'll add the Dropbox link in the description. And if you have any other questions, leave your comments down below. I used to work in a call center. Almost did my spiel out of the call center. So thank you for watching. Thank you for following along. And as always have a blessed day. And Autobots, flip out and let's roll.